Welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft. We're over here at the super duper cheaty raid farm and we're watching the waves of the raid pop into existence. This farm is glorious, my friends, and I am using it again, doing some AFK overnight farming because I wanted more emeralds, you know? What's wrong with having more emeralds? Nothing if you ask me, but unfortunately something has gone rather wrong. As you can see here, I've gotten myself into a little bit of a pickle. I left the AFK clicker on overnight, but something went wrong. And this has happened a couple of times. Anyway, I need to go and get all of my items back, which shouldn't be a problem because they don't actually despawn. Oh, yeah, duh. Of course, right. Yeah, now we should be in the spawn chunks because I've, removed my bed. Excellent. So the computer has been on that death screen that you saw earlier probably for hours on end, and you can see all the items on the ground, but the thing is, it actually unloads the chunks. I think the server does that. If you're in single player, it might not be the same, but when we go through to the other side here, you're going to see that all the stuff is just lying there on the ground ready for us to take. So even if you die at this farm, there's kind of like no consequence. And here's the really crazy thing, I can pick up where I left off because there are mobs sitting here, the ones that killed me. And there you go, we just go right back to it again. What I should really do is set my spawn over here with a bed. Well, I think this marks the end of my session, but I'm doing something a little different here. I've started the next raid, so when I kill these witches, then they will start spawning up the top. However, if I just leave them here, then I don't have to worry about the bad omen effect. When I come back, the raid will continue. Right, and I also realised something. I was supposed to add lava over the end here to the dropper, but I never got around to it. So this entire time we've been shooting items down into the ocean. So let's dive on down and check this out. Oh, okay, here we go. There's something here. Yep. This is silly. This needs cleaning up. Oh, look at that. Just a load of totems flying everywhere. Look, the dolphins come and play with them. Oh, that's amazing. So we will get back to our emerald farming shenanigans later on in this episode. I've been out though gathering up some obsidian and lava for a little bit of a test, I guess. I was curious about something, and you probably won't recognize this place, but it's the tunnel over to the previous raid farm, and this thing will probably remain nether decorated because this project is now essentially abandoned. But let's go through to that area as it will lead to somewhere else. I've got a little bit of a problem though. Yeah, for some reason the portal doesn't want to sync up with the one on the surface, so I always end up down in this ravine. Ah, and there it is. There is a way out to the surface up here. So the raid farm that I'm talking about, I mean, if you missed it, you might not know, it's this island covered in water. So there's a hole in the ravine that leads us to the surface here, and if we go up into the sky, the raid farm that I'm talking about is this one. We got a lot of players online at the server, so the thing is struggling to load. Yeah, this thing's going to pretty much remain abandoned, and one of the things I did want to do is decorate it and make it look all cool, but we're just going to leave it as is. And now we're going to fly, I believe, in this direction. I'm going on memory here. So it turns out that I did indeed go in the wrong direction, and from up here you can kind of get a sense of the size of the whole island. It is rather large. If it was smaller that would be fantastic, but it's not the case. And I'll put a map of the island on the screen so you can see it in relation to the pillager outpost. It's not that far away, and we've already got a tunnel leading over here. So one of the first things that I've done is I've added a portal down below. Now the project that I want to do here is farming the mushrooms. You see, these suckers, they drop leather, and I'm always finding myself short of leather when it comes to making bookshelves or making leather armor to work with armor stands, which is something I'd like to do more this season. So now I'm thinking we need to build a farm, and this place would be perfect because no hostile mobs spawn here, and no other type of peaceful mob does. We've already cleared them all out of the spawn chunks, so if we come over to this area when no one else is on, they'll be able to spawn freely. So I am going to work on the tunnel in the nether, making sure it's safe and gathering some quartz in the area, and give myself some time to scratch my head and just think about what's the best way to do this, because I've done it several times in the past. Removing everything with your shovel is slow, using water buckets can be pretty tedious as well. And so if I think it over, maybe I'll come up with a faster method, but it's most likely going to be cover it in water. So there is a new minigame on the server. And it just so happens to be related to an episode of Mythbusting I did some time ago. You see, I've been rewatching all of my episodes of Mythbusting as I kind of want to make a best of where I go through all of the myths we've busted, things that we've learned that every player should know, that sort of thing, right? Anyway, let's land here graciously. This game involves slime blocks, and I happen to know that the highest you can bounce off of a slime block is 48 blocks, but it turns out there might be a way to go beyond that. As you'll see in here, there is a Riptide Trident. So if it were raining, you can play this new game in an alternate way. If we have a look at the instructions here, oh, I see. There's a 4th page, I didn't notice that. Basically what we've got to do is jump from the top of the scaffolding and bounce off the slime blocks and see how far back up we can go. And that probably involves moving into the scaffolding as well, which would take a little bit of skill. If you move in too soon, then maybe you don't go as high as you potentially could. I don't know if we're supposed to take off our armor or anything like that. I don't think any of it will interfere. So let's fly up to the top, although I might wait a moment here and sleep in the bed first. So a new day is upon us, and I have flown up to the top here. I was expecting it to go to 255, and it goes to 128. So possibly this means that we're not able to bounce back up as high as 48 blocks. Now I've also been wondering, would pressing F3 be cheaty at all? Because being able to see your Y value might be very useful. You could also do it this way as well, because we've got the data pack for that. I will turn that off though. I'm just going to play this blind. I think that's the way to have the most fun. I also think it might help to see the environment around us. So I'm going to drop down like this and then go up and call it just about there. That felt very good, didn't it? And we're at 37. Now Impulse's score was 38. Is that like literally the highest? Because I felt like we did really well there. Now we get 3 attempts for every diamond we spend on this game. So 38. Okay, I'm going to give it another shot. So attempt number 2. The rules said nothing about jumping. And I'm trying to put myself very close to the scaffolding. There we go. Oh, I think we might have been able to go 1 block higher then. 37 again. Ah, what is the secret, Impulse? What is the secret? Okay, this time without F5. This is our 3rd attempt. Okay, that's about as close in as I'm going to get. 37! Oh! So here it is, 37, and I've got an idea on how to get a higher score. Oh, this is going to be so cheeky. So what's the strategy for getting a higher score? Look at that, we went right up in the sky. 128. How did I do this voodoo magic? I mean, I'm sure some of you know how. That was amazing. So cue the music is what I might have said. However, after 40 minutes of chopping down these giant mushrooms and killing mushroom cows, I realized this island was way too big for us to work with. And I was live streaming at the time, and the audience agreed that we should find a smaller island, which we did over 10,000 blocks away. So we dug a tunnel in the Nether, and I think that was the better decision. However, we decided to render this footage anyway, and actually turned it into a tutorial because we're using the replay mod to create this fantastic replay. And so if you wanted to watch that, it's part of the live stream, and it will be linked in the description box down below. What I was essentially doing was showing the program and talking about the creative process of thinking about where your replay will start and end, how long you want it to be, how many camera positions, and what you're trying to capture with those. And I think I might do this more often in the future, as we had a lot of great feedback, and I actually do tend to record what I do when I live stream so I can turn it into a time lapse at a later date. So it kind of makes sense to then do the replay inside of the live stream as well. It can be an opportunity to teach people, and it's certainly interesting. But now we will use the replay mod just to look at how big this island is. It is absolutely ridiculous, and I've learned that there is something else that is going to make getting rid of all of this mycelium even more difficult. So here we are at the new island. It is way smaller. It might look big from where we are right now, but if we go up into the sky and look behind us, you'll see it's not that big at all. This is far more manageable for removing all of the mycelium. There was also an island over here that was a little bit close, so we removed the land just up to this chunk border. So we should now be good to start removing the mycelium. The thing is, we got to figure out a technique for doing this. And in the past, what you used to do is cover all the mycelium in water and then wait for nighttime to come, and what would happen is the mycelium would turn into dirt. But there has been a change to how light levels travel through water, and that means that this is no longer possible. So the alternative is something more tedious, like using your shovel and ripping it all out. However, then the mycelium is going to slowly spread backwards, so you have to do it in segments and be very careful. And if you watch Season 5 at all, there was a lot of mycelium removal in that season, and a lot of the time did it grow back. This could be really tough. Anyway, here's another technique that was mentioned. Put a load of junk blocks down and then remove them like this. Now, it's good because when you remove it, most of the mycelium is going to be gone, and you can instant mine this without instant mining these blocks as well. However, you know, you're often trying to get rid of this. I don't think I'm going to go with that though, because I don't have a lot of this block lying around right here, and my base is a very long way away. So what we're going to do is just use up as much of this shovel as I can and get rid of as much as this the good old-fashioned way. And now you're thinking, Asuma, what were you talking about a second ago? Doing things the old-fashioned way with a shovel? Well, I had a eureka moment. You know, I keep having these eureka moments, and I think actually I'm just realizing how bad the original idea was. We only need to prevent things from spawning on this mycelium, which we achieve by having the island covered in water. So therefore, wherever we build this farm, we don't actually need to worry about the mycelium itself being removed, just that all the spaces here are blocked. And so I've gone around the entire island just to check every single little spot. And so here it is from up above with the camera account. I've gone around and checked every single spot here, and everything is covered by water. So no mushrooms are currently able to spawn in this place, which is great because when we build a farm, that's where they're going to spawn. So about the other thing, there may be dirt underneath my feet, but that's because in some areas it makes sense to remove a little bit of mycelium and then get the water spreading. What you'll notice is that essentially all the mycelium here, even at night time, is just staying as such. But here's the thing, I could have covered that big island in water as well. It doesn't take this long. I might actually go back to the island, cover it in water, so I don't have to travel as far through the nether. Who knows, I'll think on it because I'm done with this project for today. So what I do want to do is sort out the situation with all of these emeralds that we've got lying around in chests, because we're producing a crazy amount from the farm, and I wanted to make the entrance to get there really nice and flaunt the materials that we have. So I've been working on this entrance here, kind of like the way it just like jumps in a little bit to the wall and then opens up. And as you can see, we've got quite a bit of building to do, but I've already done a fair bit as well. We're going to have black for the bottom and top. We're using glass blocks and wool. And then on the side, I've started to put down some of the blocks that are going to be in those positions, I guess. Those blocks are going to be in those positions. And I'm so prepared, you know, I was going to put ominous banners right here because we're going to show these off. We're going to show off the pillager heads that we get from this farm. And of course we're going to show off our emerald blocks, although I tried to make it so this design had lots and lots of emeralds on display, but it never really felt quite right. So we're going to take it in a slightly different direction. And what I've got to do next is some farming, because we're going to need a ton of achacha logs. We're going to need absolutely loads of these, and I've only got a couple of stacks together. So my axe here has been getting a workout, but we have the materials together. And I don't want to waffle on for too long while I show you little updates, but I do want to do little updates. So as you can see, now all of the floor is in place. So the roof is now in place, and next time I record, this thing will be done for the most part, although I'm not sure how we're going to hook up the portal at this end. One of the things you might notice are stone brick stairs here. That's because we're actually going to kind of open this up and have a shelf here, and that's going to have all of the heads on. That's also where we're going to get some lighting into this build. Just behind these stairs I'm going to put some lighting tucked up and hidden away behind there. So this is where those heads are going to go, and this is going to make the tunnel feel a little bit ominous. Yeah, I like that. Also, if you hold crouch here, you can just about see the light source. It doesn't match the rest of the textures, but it's not a problem, and it brings a little luminosity to the whole build. It is also quite ominous as well, especially with that ominous banner, but no, I think the real thing here are the pillager heads looking at you. Oh, it's so creepy. I love it. It's got a real atmosphere to it, and the emerald block really does just kind of pop out as its own thing. As I said, it was kind of hard to use a lot of this. Anyway, I did have one idea, a little bit of variety here, would be to remove the one right here and replace it with an evoker's head. And you can kind of see there's a tiny little bit of texture difference around the bottom here, but that's about it. And do you know what? Yeah, you're probably going to notice it on that head as you walk past. But yes, each one of these ones in the middle I'm going to change over. And then we're just left with this bit right here. I've got to connect the portal up and make it look good. This turned out fantastic, my friends. I'm loving it. And behind that portal at the end there's a whole bunch of emerald blocks. And I've got a lot of emerald blocks now. I'm starting to think that we should perhaps start to sell these. Maybe open up a shop. That's actually my entire supply at the moment. Maybe you were expecting more, but that is a shocking amount for me. This farm is ridiculously overpowered, and you may have noticed my XP going up between recording clips. I've been sort of jumping in and out of there and just getting some extra emeralds as we go. This is a heavily travelled spot. Evidence of is the new boat road that we've got in here. People use it so often it's been changed to make travel more convenient. And when you go past this, it's definitely going to grab your attention. And I reckon what we should do is actually put a shop, because obviously we're going to make a shop, right, and sell all these emeralds. But we should put it right here in the nether. So I'm thinking that on either side we're going to expand this a little bit so that it grabs people's attention nice and early. So we're going to take out this entire panel and create something similar to this, but I want the emeralds to pop out a little bit more, because when you're traveling like this you don't really notice the emerald texture at all, right? And then we'll simply mirror whatever I come up with on the opposite sides, and then we can have an entrance over here to the shop. And speaking of which, we should probably have like a break in the glass as well. This emerald block is really quite difficult to work with. I've tried a few different things, and I'm probably going to go with the stone bricks here, but they just don't really mix with a lot of other textures, and they just sort of stick out, which is kind of fine in this scenario because we are literally trying to grab players' attentions in here. So I thought I might get away with a fade effect over here, and then that got me thinking we could change the gold to emeralds, and I think that's it right there. I should put these walls back to like they normally are, including those ones over there, and just swap out the gold, because that'll catch your eye. You're used to seeing gold, then all of a sudden it's emerald, and maybe we could do that for a couple notches back as well, just so it gets your attention from further away. And there it is, looking much better I think now, and you may have noticed I've mirrored the builds on the side of the tunnel over to here, and this is where we're going to build our shop. Now my original idea for this was to build a cave and call it the Emerald Cave, and had all these ideas for like using emerald ores in there, but then I realised I didn't have any emerald ores stashed up, so we're going to keep it relatively simple on this side. So for what we're going to do next, I will potentially need a lot of wool. We're going to use lime, and we're going to use green, and we're going to make some words using banners. I've also got some dyes prepared for that. And every time I need wool, like I have done for the black wool that we used in this episode, I head over here, and no one's really using this, but False has come and signed it again. Actually, is Mumbo new? No, Mumbo isn't new. Yeah, so False is using this, but I mean, I really did think all the hermits would scramble over here and take as much as they could. But there you go. Anyway, this shop over here, let's go and check and see if we've made any sales. Well, not only have we made 0 sales, somehow this has happened. That's really weird. Why would they flow into the dropper? I'm not sure. Anyway, I can break the blocks here. Yeah, no idea how that happened. However, I did do a quick redesign here. So while we're at it, let's press that. Okay, I can see what the problem is. This can be solved with a single piece of redstone dust. The problem is it points into that block, and that block simply bub powers the dispenser. Okay, fingers crossed. Okay, I officially give up. It's not my day today. So I just removed a couple of blocks in this area that wouldn't have even been powered by redstone, yet somehow that did the trick. Very odd. Very odd. Anyway, I'll tidy this up and we'll head back to the nether. So check out my fancy inventory here. Emerald store. We're going to put these across the front here, and because of the width of them I've had to modify the design, which may change entirely as I start to add some letters here, the L and the D. I'm using iron trapdoors to kind of hold this up with like a minimal hitbox, a sort of small block we can put the banner on. Then I realised that store below it is basically going to take up the rest of the space. So what we need to do now is probably get this roof to start to rise up before the letters appear. Okay, this is looking just fantastic. And by the way, the reason I picked the word store instead of shop is because it was 5 wide. And the last thing I've got to do is put in some slabs. But then you'll see, this thing opens up really nice. And I've also put it so these things aren't exactly 2 blocks below the other one. But as you walk up to it, it then sort of opens up and says Emerald Store. I think it looks really great. And where you see those iron trapdoors, there are lights above and also below. I might do that in these little spaces here as well. And then these are droppers, so I thought, why don't we mess around with a different inventory size? So somewhere in here I've got to put a sign. I guess it will probably hang off one of these iron trapdoors. And we're going to sell these... Oh, I can't remember. I think it was a stack for 4 diamonds. So then we'll be able to put 9 stacks in each dropper. So the price is going to be 3 diamonds per stack. Hopefully these sell. They're not the most useful building block, right? But we've got loads of them now. And that makes me, my friends, the Emerald King. Think I'm going to leave this skin on for a while and use it to promote the store. Maybe the other hermits will notice that my skin's changed and ask me why, and I can say, hey, it's because I'm selling all the emeralds. Because I got all the emeralds. Jeez, I mean, we're emerald rich. That being said, absolutely all the emeralds I own, I think, are in here now. So on that note, I've picked up all my junk from the chests and done with that now. We finished the tunnel and the shop in one go, which is fantastic. And on my way back to the base now to work on the next project. That's it from me this episode. I hope you've been entertained. If you have, leave a like. It helps support the channel. As always, thank you ever so much for doing that. And I'll see you very soon with another episode of Hermitcraft. Bye-bye.